The basement air was icy, far colder than it should have been for a summer night. Emily's hands trembled as she clutched the old leather-bound journal, her knuckles white. The pages, once blank, were now filled with frantic scrawls, words she recognized as her own handwriting, though she had never written them. Behind her, a voice whispered, clear and chilling, "Don't turn around." Emily froze, her breath caught in her throat. The journal slipped from her grip, landing with a dull thud on the concrete floor. The whispers grew louder, overlapping, a cacophony of voices pouring secrets into her ears. "They're coming for you, Emily. You know too much." She dared a glance at the cracked mirror across the room. In its fogged surface, a figure loomed behind her, a pale, translucent woman, her face a mask of sorrow and rage. Emily squeezed her eyes shut as the whispers rose to a scream. "Find the truth. They're hiding it." Emily and her husband, Ryan, stood in front of their new home, its Victorian architecture charming but foreboding. Their excitement for the fresh start in the quiet suburban neighborhood filled them both with hope. It was an opportunity for a new chapter. They had spent months saving for this place, and it was finally theirs.
"Look at it, Em. This is it. The dream house. It's perfect for us, don't you think?"
But from the moment they stepped inside, Emily felt something strange. The house was cold, even though the summer heat was unbearable outside. The creaky floorboards and the dark corners of the house made her uneasy, but she brushed it off. After all, it was an old house. The realtor had described it as full of character, but it felt like something more, something darker.
I don't know, Ryan. It just feels wrong. It's too quiet.
It's just an old house. You're overthinking it. We've got a new start ahead of us.
The first night, Emily heard it. A soft whisper, like a breeze brushing against her ear. She turned quickly but saw nothing. Shaking it off as the wind, she tried to sleep, but the whispers continued every night. At first, it was just a faint murmur, barely audible. But as the days passed, the voices grew more distinct.
"Emily, help me."
She told Ryan, but he didn't believe her.
Old houses make strange sounds. It's nothing, Em. You're just stressed.
But Emily couldn't ignore the feeling of being watched, of being followed through the rooms by unseen eyes. One evening, while unpacking in the attic, Emily found an old journal wedged between two dusty boxes. Its leather cover was worn, and the pages were yellowed with age. She opened it, only to find a name, Clara, and the first few lines were a frantic account. "They're watching me. They won't let me leave." The journal stopped abruptly at the last page, but Emily couldn't shake the sensation that Clara's presence was somehow tied to the house. The whispers had intensified since Emily found the journal, becoming more insistent, more desperate. The next day, Emily met Mrs. Hargrove, a neighbor in her 70s, who seemed to know more about the house than anyone else. When Emily mentioned hearing the whispers, Mrs. Hargrove's face paled.
"Don't go digging, dear. This house holds secrets you're better off not knowing." She paused, then added, "There's a reason the house was sold so quickly. Some things are better left in the past."
Emily was left with more questions than answers, and that night, the whispers spoke louder than ever.
"Find the truth. They're hiding it."
Unable to resist, Emily delved deeper into the history of the house. The whispers led her to an old article buried in the town archives. Clara was a young woman who had lived in the house decades ago. She had been found dead in the basement, and though it was ruled an accident, rumors swirled that it was a murder covered up by the town's wealthiest families. Clara's journal. "The family who owns everything, they won't let me tell the truth." The name Hargrove appeared several times, but Emily wasn't sure if it was the same family as her neighbor. The whispers grew more intense, urging Emily to go to the basement. One evening, after Ryan had gone to bed, Emily ventured down into the dark, damp space. As she searched, she found a loose floorboard. Beneath it, a hidden compartment contained an old photo album and a stack of letters. Emily, whispering to herself,
Could this be it?
One of the letters was a confession from Clara herself. It detailed her discovery of a horrifying secret. Clara had found evidence of a hit-and-run accident involving a member of the Hargrove family, which had been covered up by the town's elites. Clara had planned to go to the police, but she had been silenced before she could do so. That night, Clara's ghost appeared before Emily in the attic. Her form was translucent, her face filled with sorrow and rage.
They've buried the truth, but you can expose them. You have to, Emily.
Emily was terrified, but Clara's desperation was undeniable. Clara's ghost didn't seem to want revenge. She just wanted the truth to be known.
Clara, I'll help. I'll get it out there, I promise.
The next day, Emily was confronted by Mrs. Hargrove, who knew that Emily had uncovered too much. The elderly woman's face twisted in a mix of fear and anger.
You don't know what you're doing. Leave it alone, Emily. They'll come for you. They always do. You don't know what you're doing. Leave it alone, Emily. They'll come for you. They always do.
No, Mrs. Hargrove, I can't. I know what happened. I know what they did to Clara. This has to be known.
Emily decided to take the evidence she had gathered, the letters, the photos, the confession, and expose it all. She went to the local newspaper, hoping that they would publish the story. But as she left the office, she was followed by a figure, one of the Hargrove family's enforcers. They had found her.
You should have stayed out of it, lady.
With Clara's voice guiding her, Emily led the enforcer to the basement, where the spirit of Clara confronted him.
You can't silence the truth. Not anymore.
The man tried to fight back, but Clara's ghost was powerful, her rage uncontainable. The man fled, and Emily knew it was time to reveal everything. The truth finally came out. The evidence Emily provided led to the arrest of several powerful individuals, including members of the Hargrove family who had been involved in the cover-up. The town was shaken, and Clara's name was cleared.
Thank you, Emily. You set me free.
As Emily prepared to leave the house for good, the air felt lighter, free from the oppressive weight of the past. As she stepped outside, she heard Clara's whisper one last time, a gentle promise of peace.